Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Doctor. It's another beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest. It's the end of our weekend, unfortunately. A balmy Sunday night out here. It's actually been a little bit warm after we had our windstorm. I hope all of you guys are having at least a relaxing day, and I hope you're ready to sit in and talk about one of the new units that's going to be coming on the banner. Now, we don't know if she's going to be coming this week. It's my theory that Miranda is going to be coming after Odin, so I have a feeling it's only going to be Odin this week. But Miranda will be coming with Durando on the following banner after that, and let's kind of jump in and take a little bit of a look at her. She is the Crimson Dancer, and she's a red mage primarily. She's a time mage and a paladin as well, and her affiliation is with Wazette. So I have a feeling we're going to be seeing her in the main story here pretty soon. Her mastery ability gives attack plus 15%, magic plus 15%, and defense plus 5, which is very meaty. It really brings out that balance of the red mage, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that as we go through the rest of these slides here. Her TMR is the red jacket, and I'm just realizing how horribly pixelated all of that is, so just don't look at the left side of the screen, you guys. It is going to give HP 482, defense 10, and of course it says chestnut avoidance because this came from Altema, but of course that's going to be critical evasion. It is going to have an ability on it which increases magic attack power and slashing and attack power of allies within for 3 turns, and if you can see, it is actually a pretty big casting area, and I think it is actually a very powerful TMR ability, so I think it definitely is a potential, and I think if you're really looking at investing in her seriously, this is going to be something that you're going to want to get for her. Looking at her limit burst, this is something that you actually need to consider because she is a red mage, so she does have higher starting AP than other units. So it's a magical damage large to a target within its own range, and a probability of 3 times of being inoperable and chaos effect that attacks regardless of enemy or ally. So I'm guessing that that's going to be stop that it's actually landing. It was a little difficult to read in the translation, so I can't be for sure. In terms of her resistance, it's going to give 10% resistance to slashing. She has 5% weakness to fist attack, which honestly we can just ignore. And she's going to have 15% weakness to missile, which is probably her biggest opportunity. If you also look, she has a weakness to lightning. So she is going to be easily killed by any of the Fredericas that are out there right now. She does have 20% resistance to fire, but unfortunately there's not many fire units out there currently. She has 50% resistance to paralysis, 10% to charm, and 50% to stop. In terms of her equipment, it can be a little spotty, and it's one of those things that you're going to have to jimmy around with. Now, of course, in terms of weapons, we're looking at the Naggarok plus 5 for the vital or the magic, of course. Most of her abilities are going to be based around magic that are actually damageable. So I am going to be looking a little bit more towards that magical stat than actually that attack stat. The Sleep Blade plus 5 is also a great option. It is also currently the highest magical sword option that we can get. At 126 magic, it would be my #1 recommendation. But I think it's more likely that you're going to have a Naggarok plus 5, whether it's vital or magic, that's going to outdo a Sleep Blade, because the capability of getting a Sleep Blade plus 5 is pretty difficult right now until we are able to farm it really reliably. Her armor choices are a little tough. She can equip hats, she can equip clothing, and she can equip accessories. So when you think about her build, she does have Subjob Paladin, right? And she's kind of supposed to be a tanky-ish unit, but she doesn't have access to the armor that would make her really tanky. So I did put Sage's hat on here for the evasion. I think that's potential. If you're looking to buff up that defense and spirit, I think the Mirage Vest plus 5 is also really good. It gives that magic attack resistance as well for her. However, I think what you're going to find is best is actually probably putting Mont's TMR on her or her own TMR so that you can still equip Sage's hat on top of that. So something to look at in that regard. You're probably going to need a TMR to bring out the best in her, some type of defensive TMR. She can equip an accessory as well, so I just threw it on Jeweled Ring here as well. Could be aim, could be critical. I think you're more likely going to be doing some combination of a defensive TMR and Sage's hat is what my first thought is going to be when I was looking at the different gear choices that she had. In terms of her stats, she does get 2090 HP, which is not the highest. She gets an initial plus 120 on there as well. Going down, you can see she has movement +3 and jump +2. Her capped AP is going to be at 149. She gets an innate defense +4 and initial AP +2. Her attack is 188 +14, putting her just over 200. And then her magical power is going to be 208 +56. And that's going to be kind of where we're going to be leaning in, especially as we take a look more at jamming thrust on the next page. She does get agility +58. It's going to be a very powerful, not the fastest, but very powerful agility for her. Dexterity at 165, luck at about 177, and then she gets that additional magic power +20%. So if you're keeping track, she has about 260 magic with +35% magic on top of that. So her magic stat is going to be very high. Looking at her abilities here, she does kind of have a couple different options here, and they're kind of based on her sub job, and I really am not sure what direction I would want her to go in. I think it depends really foundationally on how you want to build her. I think, first of all, though, her bread and butter technique is going to be jammer thrust. Now, this is going to deal heavy magic damage to the target and prevent the target from casting abilities. That is probably less important than the fact that it only costs AP 24. You get 6 uses. It's heavy magic damage, and the range on this is 5 squares. This is extremely powerful. You do have to get her to Awakening 6 in order to use it, but I think this is going to be one of her most powerful techniques besides actually doing anything with her limit break. Now, if you change her sub to Paladin, it is going to be Attract Blade, which is going to deal heavy damage to the target and increased chance of being targeted. Now, that, of course, is a physical damage attack. It's going to cost AP 44. I think you're not going to be setting that very often. I think more likely you're going to be subbing Time Mage to be supportive, or you're actually going to be subbing Red Mage to get access to some other spells, which we'll talk about in just a minute here. She does have access to Crusader's Ward, which is going to increase max HP and defense. As a Time Mage, she gets access to both Quick and Haste, which is extremely powerful for her. Not only that, of course, she gets the Time Mage's passive for decreasing the casting times of abilities significantly, so that's going to make it so that her spells cast at 750 CT and not at 1000 CT. So you could see her being viable for a Time Mage sub, especially if you haven't gotten Jammer Thrust yet, or you're a newer player and you're not able to awaken her fully. I think it would totally be viable to have her sub Time Mage and really slide into that supporting role in your party. In terms of subbing Red Mage, this is something that I want to talk about as well. She does get access to Cura. She also gets starting AP up at level 1. I really don't think you need that starting AP up. And then if you sub Red Mage, you do get exclusive access to Esuna, which is going to be important as we talk about the tower in the future. So for those of you that are keeping tower in mind, if you're thinking about a unit to use for that, do keep in mind that her sub Red Mage is going to give her Esuna. You might not be able to use her as a Time Mage, but you could potentially be taking her in there. She's going to have that Cura ability, so she's going to be able to heal and she's going to be able to Esuna. Now, in terms of her counters, she has Slow Counter, she has Paladin Guard. Honestly, I think I would probably stick with Paladin Guard on her just because she's going to be taking a little bit more damage. Slow Counter, of course, can be useful. It really depends on what type of role she's going to be taking in your party and how you're going to be utilizing her. I think she could be a really strong forward front DPS, and I think in that case you would definitely want Paladin Guard with her. Taking a look at her Espers and cards here, it again is going to be really foundational in terms of how you want to build her, right? If you're going to be building her in terms of taking a hit or being able to take a hit and deal some damage, someone who can maybe open up with Jammer Thrust, run in, and then follow up with her Limit Break, something like that, then you're going to need some survivability on her. So of course for survivability, we're going to recommend Golem, we're going to recommend Ifrit, we're going to recommend Iron Giant, right? So Golem with that defense up, Ifrit with the ice resistance and missile resistance, which the missile resistance from Ifrit would help counter the innate missile weakness that she does have. Iron Giant, of course, with the slash resistance, making her even stronger in terms of taking a hit. And of course, Iron Giant does have that high HP, and it has that low agility, which means other enemies will act first, and you'll be able to charge in and attack that way. Siren, of course, is another option here, and so is Cactar. Again, you have more magic up options, and Siren's going to have that nice agility bonus. So it really depends on how you're going to build her, how you intend to use her, and it's really difficult. There are some units out there that you can just say like, oh yeah, you know, throw Golem on them. But she's going to be one of those units that sometimes she's going to be a support, sometimes she's going to be an offense, sometimes she's going to be a tank. You really don't know what you're going to get when you come into battle with her, and that's going to be a little bit tricky when you're facing her in PvP. Now, for cards, I would recommend, because she has that variety of different uses, I think almost any of these cards could be useful. So, of course, Trixido for the magic attack up is going to be very powerful if you're really wanting to make use of that jamming edge, of that limit break. And then, of course, we have Miranda here, right? Because jamming edge is slashing attack modified as well. So we are going to be able to use slashing attack with that. We have Siren for the magic attack damage up, which who doesn't have a Siren right now that isn't just sitting on their bench? Of course, I think there are probably better cards than Siren, but who doesn't want to use Siren just once? We do have Odin, of course, for the physical damage hit down and the Maneater up. We have Leona's Castle for a more defensive build. We actually have Vow of Love, I think could actually be really good on her, especially if you set her as sub-time mage. She's going to stay potentially further in the back line initially, which will really cause their enemies to be drawn in. Could be very powerful. And then, of course, the Iron Giant card, which is going to have slashing resistance for the entire party, and of course slash attack up for her. So there's a whole slew of combinations that you could do here, and it really comes down to how you want to build her, what setup you're currently using, what supports you have. For those of you that maybe don't have Ayaka or don't have a Time Mage currently, it's really going to come down to sort of a balance. And I think she's going to be one of those characters that, you know, people aren't going to go all out pulling for her. They might pull one of her and they maybe have the capability to awaken her to level 4. And then maybe, you know, maybe they slip her into their team or they level her up to like level 65 or 70 so that she's just useful enough sometimes. She's a little bit stronger than Helena, a little bit stronger than Phoebe. She still has that healing and Time Mage support. So I see her potentially being that character where she's kind of backlined for a lot of the game, where she's just released, she's sitting in your backline, but then you kind of invest in her slowly and she slowly makes her way onto your team. I see her as that sort of potential utility character. All right, you guys, well, thank you so much for watching. It means so much to me that you guys are all watching, that you guys are listening, that you guys tune in. If you guys want to leave a comment, I do try my hardest to get back to all of the comments that you guys leave. If you want to join our Discord is a pretty cool community. You can come hang out with us. There's tons of people talking War of the Visions all the time. It's a little less intimidating than like the Global War of the Visions Discord. There's a little less intimidation, a little bit more warmth going on there. So be sure to come check us out there. Come check out my stream. I do stream almost every single night, usually somewhere between 5 p.m. Pacific time and 11 p.m. Pacific time. I tend to stream earlier on weekdays than weekends. And thank you so much, you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.